Okay, I just want to do a follow-up on the modifications that we've done, mention a few things, and one of those is lowering the car. Yes, they do benefit from it. It just depends how low you want to go. Now, I don't like my cars looking slammed like a lowrider. I just think it makes a classic NASCAR look ridiculous. Does it make it handle any better? Sure it does. It just depends on your own personal preference. You tune these cars the way you like them, just to your own personal preference. I'm just showing you mine. But I will tell you this much. When it comes to lowering, there's one thing you're going to have to do. So we'll move this out of the way. Here's the new Plymouth that just came out. And here's one I modified right here. And that's a Richard Petty little USAC car that I made for a little series we were working on. And I'm going to show you the difference between the two cars and how I got it that way. Okay, first off, I want to show you the difference. Hopefully you can see that pretty easily, how much lower the back end is here compared to a stock one. And that's about as far as I want to go. I don't want to go any further than that. You'll notice that I did grind the wheel wells out on this car because it was a special project for USAC, but it doesn't matter. You can tell the lowering. So just to get it a little bit lower, there's one thing you're going to have to do. And that is, with these cars, there is not a lot of distance between the top of the motor and the bottom of the interior. So, as you can see, this is what you have to do. You're going to have to cut out part of the interior to make sure that you can lower the car without the motor hitting the bottom of the interior tray. So that's one major modification. Some people don't like to do that. It takes away from the look of the car on the inside. It bothers some people, so they just don't do it at all. But it doesn't really bother me to lower it a little bit, and that's all I have to do is just cut it out. And then I use my Dremel with the milling tool. I kind of mill out right here by the driver. You can see the shoulder and the arm there. And I make sure that everything is clearing as I start to lower the car. And now I'll show you how I did that. Okay, so I'll show you one method of getting the body to sit a little bit lower, and that is by shaving down these rear body posts. Now, sometimes, just to get them a little bit lower to look good, here's a stock car, you'll notice that they're raised right there. And you can just get your Dremel or a file. I usually use a Dremel for this part carefully, but you can use a file, and you can file that down until it's flush with the bumper tabs. Now you've taken a little bit off, but a little bit goes a long way, and it's going to set lower. The second method, you can do this in conjunction with the body post or by itself, and that is sanding the tops of the chassis itself. And the best method for that is a file, because I can tell you, you don't want to go too far here. You want to make sure that you don't go too far. Otherwise, you're going to go through the top of this right here, and then you'll have nothing for your screw to bite into. So I wouldn't go too far on this method. You can a little bit, but just don't get carried away. If you do that method, just be careful. And then if you want to make sure your body sits evenly, get your caliper out, and you can measure these as you go. I prefer the body post method. Everybody has their own way. But again, back to the body posts, same thing. You want to make sure they're even. You can mark these. You can measure and mark them to make sure they go, or just test fit as you go. That's what we do. And out here on the oval, if the car ends up with a little bit of a lean, well, that's fine by us. We don't care. But anyway, as you can see, I'm going to show you the difference here, again, between these cars. We'll go back to the distance here, so I'll lower the perspective, and I'll show you the slight differences in the cars and how much it matters. Okay, so we're back to the Plymouth, like we showed earlier. You can better see the distance here. It does make a difference Just a little bit goes a long way sometimes, depending on the oval that you're racing on. And I made this one this low to better match the USAC car I was trying to model, the short track dirt car. And I don't know, I think I did okay, but it isn't slammed all the way to the ground. Still have our interior in there, just modified. So that's just the difference between those two. Now we'll bring in good old Iggy Katona. Great looking car, isn't it? Gosh, I like that car. Now, again, it's been lowered slightly. You notice that it's almost even with the top of the wheel. And here's a stock Daytona, the very first one. And as you can see again, there's just a little bit. But like I said, a little bit goes a long way. So it does improve performance a little bit out on your track, but it just depends. I mean, you know, what are you wanting to do? I mean, do you want to get the fastest lap time that you can? I mean, rip out the interior and not even have one, which I've seen people do. And you can slam it all the way into the weeds if you want to. Like I said, it's all personal preference. That's what you want to do. It's your home track, it's your series. Knock yourself out. But that's why I didn't really show it in the original review, because it's a little bit more detailed. Not everybody wants to take and go through the work of cutting out the interior and everything like that. So just something that not everybody wants to do. And you know, these latest releases from Carrera, like the one that we just did, which the Plymouth back here is next on the chopping block. But you know, I'm pretty much going to leave these cars unaltered. I'm not going to do the lowering process on these cars. I'm going to tune them just like I showed in the video, and that's just the way they're going to run. Now, of course, there is one more option for some people on magnet tracks and everything, is using a really low profile tire. You know, again, slamming it down the ground. But when you lower that diameter, you're lowering that whole chassis. So if you've got any of the Carrera bridges or anything like that, or uneven track, just remember you're taking a chance on scraping the track. So I'm just telling you how I do it. There is some lowering methods out there. Feel free to do it. And you know what? Post yours. If you've got one slammed in the weeds and you just love the way it runs, then good for you. I want to hear about it. Share your ideas with other people. You know, that's what our forum and all this is all about, is trying to help each other. So anyway, just thought I wanted to cover that. I hope that helps you guys. And again, always look forward to your comments, and we'll see you online.